Welcome back to Block TV. This is Trader's Take, where we dive into the technical charts to see what's going on under the hood of the crypto market. And as always, to help guide us through is our very own Joe Saz. Thank you for joining us, Joe.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
All right, well, are you really happy to be here? Because earlier in this week, you did say and predict that Bitcoin would hit 10K by the end of the week. Do you still think that's going to happen?
I still think it's possible. This is the thing. This is what worries me about that prediction. Pretty much, it's as simple as two things. But let's start with the small time frame, and then let's move into the daily, where the two hiccups along the way could occur. So let's start here on the 15-minute chart. I'm here on Trader, and I'm looking at BTC. Well, I'm looking at XBT, which is the BitMEX aggregation of Bitcoin price. Now, I'm seeing a ton of support. I mean, this whole move that we've had, that's kind of been a very gradual, sustained downtrend. I mean, not very powerful. We're talking about daily moves of around 2% or less. Um, Obviously, with some spikes and some crazy wicks in either direction, some liquidation hunts. We have 18 million liquidated in this 5-minute candle alone, 15-minute candle, I should say. In addition to that, we have a 10 million short liquidation, 18 million long liquidation. So right now we still have just a wild market. Everyone's just trying to get a grip. We have some degenerate gamblers throwing tons and tons of money at any one of these moves, and it looks like we might be getting one right now. But this has basically just been a place for us to wash out over leveraged longs. I mean, look at this one right here. We have a liquidation down in the bottom of my screen. I'm looking at a $9.32 million liquidation. This has all just been activity that, in my eyes, has just been wiping out over leveraged bulls. Another 10.41 liquidated over here. Now, if what we're doing is washing bulls out of over leveraged positions, that means that we're in a bullish trend. And it just means that we're cooling off some of those, bulls that are just throwing everything they have, FOMO, moon, Lambo dreams, 100xing, right? So right now, it's clear to me that we have a ton of support, buyer bedrock in the 5%. You can see it transitioning into the 2.5% aggregation. So we're getting close to a very static area of buyers, which means one of two things. If we're going to break it, we have to come at it hard and with a ton and like a massive amount of sellers. If it's going to hold, then it's definitely going to be a support range. And right now, that area is actually pretty close to the ballpark of the 200-day moving average. So with that being said, I want to transition into the two bearish outlooks that I have that are still bullish, but not bullish for a $10,000 Bitcoin by the end of the week. So let's quickly take a look at the daily chart here. We have the 200-day moving average, and so right around 88, 8,900, this is one potential pullback area. We did have a great looking reversal hammer here that didn't hold. We didn't get to keep our head above the water. Flashed up, turned inverted hammer on Super Bowl Sunday, or was it? I think it was. I can't remember. And then, anyways, we pulled back down a little bit. We haven't really made a big violent move toward the 200-day moving average, but that's my first bearish case scenario, is a bounce off the 200-day moving average and then a continuation of this uptrend. The second is a head and shoulders, and this is probably my least favorite option, but here's the general vicinity of the shoulder. We would create the formation and we would pick it up from there. So here's your left shoulder, head, and this would be the right shoulder. Now, I'm not betting on this. I think that this move to the downside is a little too much considering the heat in this current market. I think the more likely scenario is a move off of the 200-day moving average, which is actually right around the ballpark of the shoulder line. And that would also mean that we bounce around here and then we get our butts back moving up. And that kind of pushes back my 10K by the end of the week prediction. But and this is just assuming this plays out. I'm not really putting all my eggs in this basket because, again, look at all the support that we're building. Look at these buyers; they're really getting wild. A little bit spoofy action going on. But this has been great calling tops and bottoms, local tops, local bottoms, local top, support, little local bottom here. Every time that sellers have really been running up the front of the book, price has taken a swing down. But I think the objective here has generally been to liquidate shorts, to push stops, to push people out of the market, by hitting those stops. And I think that it's, pretty clear, even in this last candle here, we liquidated 5 million, right, with a wick down to a low of 9,084-ish dollars. So, I think we're running out of bulls, just wild bulls to liquidate, which is a good sign to me. I think that if this is a market cleansing cycle, let's say, then I'm still inclined to think that we're going to be moving up, and 10K, 9, 8, 10K is still absolutely on my radar. I'm not expecting much more than a pullback past 8,900. But I'm still not even putting that on the table just yet, as a serious scenario.
Joe, I'm not sure who gave the names to the chart formations, but I don't know, the head and shoulders, it's a bit of a stretch. It doesn't really look like someone's head and shoulders. It seems more like two kids lying on the ground, looking up at the clouds and saying, hey, that looks like a dog. But I digress. Talk to me about BSV post Genesis hard fork or post split upgrade.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll tell you one thing about the names and titles of these things, though. If I got to make a title for something, it would definitely have a weird name that people, in the future would be saying the same thing you are.
I do
In
like
fact,
I do like the Bart Simpson. That does look a little bit like Bart Simpson's head.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that's new to Bitcoin. That's what yeah, we agree there. So BSV, 144% move, 46% move. I mean, from bottom to top, this thing's wild. Now we did come right into kind of a bull trappy formation. We've repetitively failed to make higher highs. I think this thing's gonna fall out, but all right. So technically speaking, this thing's gonna fall off a cliff, but crypto, technically speaking, this thing's probably going to get wildly pumped somehow. I have a feeling that this might still have some lifeblood in it. Despite the bullshit, CSW news of his courier was a lawyer and he's, bound by attorney-client privilege and all that stuff. They're literally pulling every delay tactic they possibly can to try to maintain the integrity of this vicious lie that Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto. But it's very possible that might somehow convince BSV bag buyers and holders that their coin is going to be worth something. Other than that, it's a very, very small community, corner of the market community, mainly run by Craig and Calvin. So that's, technically speaking, this is looking terrible. Crypto, technically speaking, this is looking terrible, but we have to add the fact that this is a shady shitcoin owned by a known scammer, fraud, and in all likelihood a thief. And it's very possible this guy can rile the market up. So I'm inclined to think that this looks bearish. Everything points bearish to me, but we do have a Bitcoin Cash happening coming up that applies to both Roger Coin and Craig Coin, and I think we're going to see wild things in both ecosystems.
Now, the only top 5 coin that's actually in the green on the day is XRP. It's about 3 to 4% as the time of taping. Take a look at XRP for us.
Yeah, so actually, interestingly enough, we're on a 9 sell here on XRP. This is our last 9 sell was pretty responsive. I think this might just cool off the run. We're topping out RSI channel here. Honestly, I gotta say, man, XRP does look like it's found a bottom, and it looks like it's done. I'm pretty much gonna say that this line does no longer applies to this new market cycle. I think we're in a bull market. I think XRP is one of the assets in it. I don't think every asset's going to follow Bitcoin's path, but XRP will probably be one of them that does go up. And it looks like it's found its bottom here. I'm just looking at some general mental trends here. Broken this for sure. This no longer applies. So I'm just going to do this now and say that we have a nice uptrend. We're looking at a 1 to 4 candle pullback. Nice little uptrend here, nice healthy uptrend. 9 sell, a nice pump into a 9 sell, 5.76% right now. The break with our head above the 200-day moving average. All moving averages are starting to trend up or getting ready to start that move. I gotta say this, was looking pretty good. I would expect a pullback, but I look at XRP. And if I was a bag holder in XRP, I would say, all this time that I've been waiting for my asset that fell, 90 whatever percent from all-time high, I might start making some of my pennies back. So things are looking, I would say, bullish for XRP, other than what's likely to be at least a 1 to 4 day correction.
Joe says bullish on XRP. That reads the headline. The question is, will XRP see $1 by the end of the year?
Oh man, I don't think so. I think if it was wildly violent at this point in its life cycle, that wouldn't really convince institutional players that this is the stable border transfer cross-border payment system that everyone wants it to be. So I think that their goal should be to make this look like a more traditional asset, since that's their goal, to be a more traditional player. Combining blockchain technology and traditional finance, layering architecture on top of the existing architecture. I wouldn't say that I'm going to rule out wild upswings, but I will say that if this isn't a bull trend, it's going up. Is it going to $1 and by the end of the year? That's just too wild of a swing. What I mean by that is I can't make that call. I haven't monitored XRP and watched how it moves and breathes every day. I don't want to put money on that bet. I don't think we're going to move up to $1 by the end of the year. I mean, what even happened from April 2nd when Bitcoin had its April 2nd, 2018. Here's the bottom, December 2019. Interesting. So this really didn't respond to the April 2nd pump that pulled Bitcoin really out of one bear market. So, I mean, this thing, it's just been acting on its own. I just don't know. This is very different. But let's see here. I will say that this is, it's looking like it's in a bullish trend for now. And I don't think a wild move to $1. At the end of the year is a conservative time frame. So part of me says, yeah, I kind of agree with that statement. But again, I don't really know what forces can drive that to $1 at this point in time.
Now, taking a step out of the top 10, Tezos, which is up more than 25% on the week. What's the story there, and what's it doing today?
Yeah, let's take a look. XTZ. Oh wow, whoa.
Mind blown, right?
This is a mind blown in a bad way. This is what I talk about, wildly manipulated assets in the corner of the market. This is a daily chart, real quick, but look at this. We had someone push this thing all the way down to $1.20, or I'll just look here. Low of $1.26, a high of $2. I mean, that's almost a like 50% drop in what was probably a small candle. I mean, let's dissect this for a second. So here's a 15-minute candle. It was this is probably one seller. I'm going down smaller and smaller. Look at all these liquidity gaps. No one's even trading this thing. And this is a 1-minute candle right now. And all of that action took place in one candle. This is a dump. I think anyone who bought this is a sucker. But we had a single seller. This is clearly, to me, a single seller. There's no way that some sort of FOMO action could have lasted for a minute and retraced in full. So this is just a seller that dumped their bags. It really brings questions to the table in my eyes.
So what was the volume? What was the volume on that big drop in the candle?
We're looking at some decent volume. Don't have an exact amount for you, but relative to what's been going on for a while. And let's look at that one candle though. I mean, that one volume candle overshadows everything, even remotely close. I mean, zooming out, this is the largest volume candle spike we've seen this year, and well, yeah, there it is, by double this year, by about double, and maybe even more. Obviously, the scale of this chart doesn't let me go back far enough, but that was a really wild candle. I don't know if there are futures for that, but that was a wild swing. This is clearly a big dump. I don't know who did it. I don't know how many people, what the pre-mine situation is. I just don't know enough about Tezos. But this thing has bottomed out, let's see, late 2019. Been in a pretty wild upswing, uptrend since. Bottomed out again here, I think, with the rest of the market. Actually, October 25th was the day everything pumped, and it took a number of, like another month for things to settle. So XTZ is kind of acting on its own volition a bit here, and I'm going to say with a higher high, I mean, this is looking good, but there's something very weird about this wick, and this is why we're talking about TA versus crypto TA. You know, what the heck does this account for? You know, there aren't CME gaps on Tezos. There, you know, I don't know how this makes sense, other than to say some massive bag holders sold their bags, which probably means this thing is going to come crashing down. We are nearing a 9 sell, so you know, it's very possible that this thing plays, you know, happens to be selling on a technical indicator, but I don't see anything technical about this. So this is just a wild dump. I think someone's trying to dump their bags, and I think the market might be late to that party. It looks like someone started it, though, that's for sure.
Well, Joe, for once, I'm going to be able to provide more insight than you. That was actually me. I dumped all my Tezos. I'm going on vacation. Thanks for joining us, Joe. As always, a pleasure. And for all our viewers who want more on cryptocurrencies, technology, and blockchain, check out BLOCKTV. I'm going on vacation.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.